This ad is brought to you by forScore. Gone are the days of having to lug around those colourful music bags with the Velcro. We are truly in the era of tablet-based sheet music, and everybody seems to be using forScore for accessing and storing their digital sheet music library.
forScore is an app designed exclusively for Apple products. You can download your music as PDFs and export them easily into your forScore app. It's then up to you to choose whether you're a chaotic app user or whether you want to categorize your music by a composer, genre, tags, difficulty, time, etc.
The page turns are super quick, you barely notice them, and with forScore Pro you can even turn pages with nods and other customizable gestures. I usually connect by Bluetooth pedal for a seamless page turning experience. No more outdoor gigs with pages flying off the stand.
Annotating your music on the app is next level. Use your finger or a tablet-compatible pencil to draw, add symbols, stamps, and extra manuscript.
And I find the set list option really useful, especially for gigs where I have multiple PDFs I need to access quickly and stress-free. I also had a performance recently where at any point we'd need to jump to a certain page later in the music, so I added a button that I could click to take me there without having to turn 50 pages manually.
So in short, forScore has all the features any musician needs, from the passionate amateur to the seasoned professional.
So download forScore from the App Store today for $24.99 US or the equivalent wherever you are. Things Musicians Don't Talk About is supported by the Royal Society of Musicians. Since 1738, they have been providing vital financial assistance, advice, and guidance to music professionals unable to work due to accident, illness, stress, or anxiety. Whether you're working as a performer, administrator, technician, or teacher, and everything in between, they're there to help. If you know of someone in need, you can contact them in confidence by visiting their website, which is www.rsmgb.org, or you can contact them by ringing 020 7629 6137. Support their work by becoming a member or donating today. Welcome back to Things Musicians Don't Talk About. We have a cat has just jumped off. She's no longer in shot. She knows the drill. How are you, Hattie?
Very well.
We've just been recording already, so we won't do a huge catch-up. That's in the previous chatty episode, although I'm sure life will have changed by the time this one comes out.
We could have a new war going. We could have all sorts.
Don't do that to me. We're going to jump right into the deep stuff, I think.
We are.
Hattie, tell me, are you a workaholic?
I am.
Why?
Because wow. Let's just go.
Let's fucking go.
I think definitely if you struggle with your own self-confidence or self-perception,
Yeah.
work is a very nice way of filling that
Yeah.
hole.
It's also it's like surefire validation that you put in some effort and you get reward, be it money and or praise.
Plus, if your personal relationships are dodgy.
Who would you be talking about then?
Me.
Yes.
I was like, obviously, we're talking about me. I think it's like the best distraction ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that phrase, work won't love you back, which is...
I've never heard that.
Have you not?
No.
Your job won't love you back. It's often said when people are working too hard.
Right.
But I
haven't had time to hear it, honestly.
was going to... And yeah, but for me, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't love me back. It's great. There's no fear of...
But I feel like you often pursue people that won't love you back anyway.
Huh?
I feel like you pursue people
Oh, yes, exactly.
that won't love you back.
But this isn't really about my dating life.
No, yeah, let's cut that out.
You have to join the Patreon
to hear the full tea.
to hear the full tea. But I think why I wanted to talk about this is that I have been feeling frustrated since I have, for want of a better term, deconstructed from the classical music industry.
I see.
And that frustration comes from people, usually on social media, making a point of how hard they're working.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between sharing parts of your day and parts of your work because you're proud of them and you're thrilled that you're doing it and all of that. But I can often tell when it feels like someone is sharing because they have something to prove, or they're performing. They're using their workaholism as
Yeah.
a sort of prize to.
Yeah. What grates against you?
There are a few things.
Go on. Number one.
Well, actually, this isn't music, but people who share their Strava numbers.
I used to be one of those.
I used to be one of those too.
And I totally get it.
Me too.
However, I hate it.
My problem is like for some reason numbers, and I think maybe it's my own thing to sort out, but I find numbers are used. Why are you telling people how much time you've spent doing something?
How fast you can run.
And how fast you can run.
Cycle.
Because either you want to make someone else feel bad about how they are, or you're trying to put yourself in a ranking against other people.
I think it's usually the latter.
Or your confidence, you feel it's only valid if you have something to show for that time spent.
Well, I was just thinking about the Strava thing. Like, for me, it used to be that I felt a sense of pride in how fast or how long I'd run. And I wanted to show other people something I was proud of. However, it is just numbers at the end of the day. Like, I don't know, it's a bit like the thing of, well, if you went to work and you didn't post about it, did you even go to work? It feels a bit like that for running and exercise in particular, where it's like, well, if you went on a run and you didn't post about it, did you even go at all? Like, that kind of thing.
And it is funny.
It is funny.
Get it.
I get it, but it is also that thing of like, I don't need to know. And actually, it creates a bit of a boiling pot of people just trying to outdo each other without the intention of creating a competitive environment. Because I think most people would say, well, I'm just competitive with myself. But if you're putting it on a social platform, you are inevitably creating an environment of a ranking system. And I suppose it links into what I think we were maybe talking about, is like people posting like practice hours and the time that they practice, like
all the time they wake up, all the time that they're yeah. And I don't know, I think often people with a public platform will be asked by the press, tell me a typical day in your life. And I might be wrong, but I think that they are always exaggerated. It's like a what I eat in a day. If you know you're being filmed, you're going to if you're filming yourself, you're going to edit things.
Yes,
it's not going to be a pure representation of
you're not going to film the day that you didn't eat your paleo stuff.
Exactly. So like, you're not going to tell people, oh, most days I only manage to do a bit of practice. Like, numbers are like a badge of honor for a lot of musicians.
I had that the other day where one of my counselling tutors asked me how much practice I do every day. And I said, well, at the moment, I'm not really practicing because everything is chaos. But if I were to have all the time and space in the world, I'd probably do about 2 hours a day. And he latched onto this. He was like, wow, you do 2 hours a day. And I'm like, well, not really, like, not at the moment. And he just like couldn't let go of this number. And I was also like, it's not even anything compared to string players.
I was going to move on.
Yeah. But it was this obsession with how I spend my time and how dedicated I must be to this thing that he doesn't get to see. He's like, how do you manage to fit that in? And I'm like, I'm literally telling you I don't fit it in. I'm literally telling you I can't fit this in.
But people with a public platform know that they're going to get that reaction from someone that's not a musician.
Yeah.
So they use it. But I worry that people who are interested, or younger people wanting to become a musician, will think that that's the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
And that that's the right way to do it. And
that it's been done in a healthy way.
Yeah. And that they are really thriving and happy on that schedule.
Yeah.
Which is so rarely the truth.
Yeah. It just feels like
Why couldn't you say, sorry, I just need to go and chase piss cat out of the kitchen. Yeah, it just feels like, why couldn't you say what you practiced, or like what you were trying to do in your practice? If you're so invested in talking about practice, talk about what your intentions were for it, or what you achieved, or how you structured it to make it healthy. Or did you do a warm up? Like, did you warm up your body? Like, make it more about the practice than the concept of
On
quantity
working
of,
hard.
yeah.
But I think this bothers me so much because I have been so entrenched in it. And I've had that reaffirmed by teachers who, my whole life, like as a cellist, that was the thing. But then it makes you doubt yourself if you don't. I still have teachers' voices in my head of, I think I said this before, of like how many hours I should be doing if I want to be a professional cellist. And all this kind of thing, which makes me not want to pick up the cello anymore. I know this probably sounds like woo-woo and holistic and whatever, and I know there has to be a structure there. But if we like got rid of that expectation of numbers, like how much practice would you naturally do? Does there need to be like,
Yeah.
do we need to be told a number? Do some people need to be told a number to aim for?
But also, surely it depends on so many. I mean, if we're going to talk about numbers, like food that people need to eat, like it depends so heavily on your environment, your circumstances, what you're doing, how you feel, what you carry, like all this kind of stuff. So why would we allocate a specific quantity of practice to everybody as a blanket thing but you don't know if they're playing all day in an orchestra, or if they're already on top of, if their technique is feeling like, so they're just maintaining it, or if they're starting from scratch again. All this kind of, but the number still feels like it stays the same regardless of where you are in your musical, I mean, past a certain level where you are in your musical journey.
I just wish people wouldn't.
I wonder if there's a danger in not wanting to talk about the process that goes on before the music gets to the stage. Like, if we don't want to hear about practice, then are we just saying, well, we just want to hear about the final product? I don't think that's what you are saying, but I
just want to
wonder
hear about the numbers.
Yeah, is there a way of talking about practice that doesn't just become about like what time you got up and how many hours you did and you took a 10-minute break or something?
But it's like you're hitting numbers in order to improve your self-worth, but then you're telling people about the numbers because your self-worth still isn't good enough, so you need other people to know how hard you've worked. It's just very exhausting.
It also never resolves itself.
No,
Your self-confidence never gets better in that respect.
because if you can't maintain that, then you feel terrible about yourself. I don't really know. And I think it's not only in music. I think there are other professions. I can remember my mum as a teacher. She'd often come in the morning and all the teachers would be talking about how late they stayed up working.
Yeah.
People love to
Suffer more.
suffer more and like do extra work they're not paid for. Like why? Like I can't quite work it out.
You can always be doing more. And I suppose when you're in a job like that, where it is the norm that you have to work over and above, if the gate is already opened that you will have to work more than you're paid for and past your hours, then I suppose it invites the environment of like, well, who can be the most tired, who can work the most, who can, sacrifice the most for what they love. It's
about
proving,
that.
yeah.
It's about sacrificing the most for what you love. Is that because you're not? Do you have to tell people about that sacrifice because you're inherently not happy? Like if you were happy and sacrificing things, would you need to mention it at all?
I think it's probably a bit of a cycle of that plus external factor. I mean, everybody kind of riles each other up, but also external factors telling you that if you don't commit yourself fully to this thing, then you're not really doing it enough.
I think it comes from a really young age.
Yeah.
And it's maybe even a learned behaviour from watching other people do those. I just don't know. I just wish there's another way of. And there are plenty of very amazing musicians who never share that kind of information.
Yeah,
Just
but
do a
then you're
humble
like,
job and get it
yeah.
done, you know?
But is it necessarily humble not to show? Yeah.
I think ego is very involved
Yes.
when you're feeling the need to tell people about how hard you're working.
Yes. I was just thinking about when my students' parents ask me how much practice their child should be doing and they want me to give them a number. Yeah, sure, it is also easier to give a number when you're at that standard, because actually just getting them to do 5-10 minutes is like a big achievement every day. But they get so dissatisfied with me when I can't say they should be doing this number of minutes. And I have the conversation with them of, well, it depends on like how they learn and if they're doing it like how many times a week, however many times a week they're doing it. And it also depends on at what stage these pieces are at and this kind of stuff. And I mean, the majority of the parents are not musicians, but they really need me to just give them like an equation. And I think there is something about that in practice as well, that you're like, well, if I do this much input, then the result will be good. And that's quite comforting to kind of push aside fears of, well, if I do all this practice and I'm still not good enough, be like, oh, I must be because I've done 12 hours in a row.
Like, I kind of see the parallel, though, with intuitive eating and intuitive practicing, because I have always struggled with the concept of intuitive eating.
We need a theme song for
When we're gonna
Hattie and
disagree.
Becca's disagreement. I just did a Freudian slip of better. I call myself better.
Horrific.
Uh-oh.
I hate this already.
Hattie and Becca's disagreement.
Hattie and Becca.
Podium. God.
Because this is, I'm kind of disagreeing with myself here as well, though, because with intuitive, like, some people need a number, or like some people need that structure. I don't think they need to tell everyone about it, but I do think they might need, in order to improve or in order to like to commit to themselves a certain time in the day to practice, and that needs to be there. I feel as well the same, like if we were just to say to everyone, practice intuitively, for some people with like a good self-concept and self-discipline, that would do really well. But for some people, they would either like do nothing and abuse that, or do far too much. And I think that's the same with intuitive eating. And I'd love to hear what you think about this, because I don't like the concept of intuitive eating, because it's like being an intuitive heroin addict.
Sure.
For some people.
Yeah.
And I think it can be really damaging to expect people, say with a food addiction, to like just eat intuitively. I don't think that necessarily that's possible. And I think sometimes there needs to be like a numeric way to help them in terms of calories or whatever. So I do kind of struggle with it.
I agree.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, because I was ready for a big fist fight. I think that, I mean, food addiction, heroin addiction is different.
Yeah, I don't know why I used heroin.
But they are both still addictions. And I think for specific people, of whom there probably are quite a lot, I mean, professional help is needed to help with an addiction. We see that across all addictions, that usually professional guidance and support and like regular check-ins with somebody is needed to help you ease out of that addiction. For me, I found intuitive eating, I didn't have professional help. I didn't have access to professional help. So for me, intuitive eating was the way to recover, because it was like exposure therapy, I think, where I had to I think I got to a place of complete exasperation with it all. And this is not to say that therefore everybody should be able to. I think just the way that my brain and body worked, that intuitive eating for me was like going cold turkey, and the lack of control, giving that up was like, it was like jumping into cold water and then, like, trying to find my way around in the dark, and it was horrible to start with, and I was so frightened of what would happen if I just let go of everything. But also what's interesting is that I was still running alongside that, and so I still had that element of
That would
control.
be something, but
Yeah.
still being controlled.
Because I wonder if I'd had to give up running at the same time as I'd stopped weighing myself, stopped all these other behaviours, I don't think I could have done it. So when I quit running, I was already eating more intuitively. And I do agree that some people need numbers. Like, you know, there are lots of people with health conditions that mean that they have to adhere to certain numbers and levels and all these kind of things. And also, you know, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not qualified in this area. But I also think that a lot of people's resistance to letting go of those numbers, you can justify to yourself why you do need a number for a long time. And this is not to say that other people, like some people don't, everybody doesn't need a number or something a guideline to work within. But I think more people would be surprised at how they could work without that structure. Because also, you know, I think intuitive eating starts in a place of chaos and just going as your body feels, but you do settle into a routine.
Yeah, it's not a free-for-all. If you
starts off
if you
with
don't
that, I
have an
think.
addiction
Yeah.
to food, it can't be a free-for-all forever. Sometimes it feels, I mean, at the start of like going all in with it can feel like you're never going to stop eating sometimes.
And you're never going to have a vegetable again.
Yeah.
But the body does, I don't know, yeah. Maybe we shouldn't spend too much longer on this because I don't want people to get the impression that we know loads of, or like that our advice is worthy
No.
in any other way. Like, I don't know. But I think the body does then naturally find its own routine and rhythm and structure. And then you do have to question it and be like, am I just in this structure again because I've lent on having a structure, or is there some flexibility within that? And linking that back to practice, I do think if you started practicing intuitively and you just didn't play for ages and then you just decided to never pick it up again, maybe that says something about whether you actually want to be playing in the first place.
But maybe the structure then is because you're scared that you might actually want a break, or you might actually want to stop playing.
You also can't extract yourself from environment and context. And so I think, I mean, this is an episode that I want to do on hopelessness. And I think it is very natural in when you feel hopeless about the world and the industry to want to withdraw from actually the day-to-day playing or practicing and that self-discipline that you need, because it's like, well, what's the point? Or like a lethargy about it that's very hard to just be like, oh, I'll just practice because I have to get my hours in. I think we're all human beings that feel, even if you try and switch off from the world and everything, you can still feel the demise of the industry kind of lurking a little bit, I think.
Wow. Thank you for that. That was really
Thank you for that.
I expected to disagree, but we didn't. Okay, maybe next time.
Next time.
Stay tuned. Another thing, I guess the final thing really that I wanted to talk about was criticism, and the threat to your self-perception. It all kind of links together, I guess. But I got criticism the other day on an email. It's always the emails that get me.
I think that says a lot as well. Not necessarily about you, but also how other people deliver criticism or can't deliver it to your face.
This is the thing, though. It's like, well, but if you're getting feedback on a magazine, like, you can't really call up.
Sure. Sorry, continue with your story.
Oh, it's fine. It was just someone, a man, classic, who was like, I'm disappointed with opera now since it's gone quarterly.
Well,
the review pages, there aren't enough photos.
Oh.
In my head, I was like, I'm giving people more content in the review section. This is so boring, but like, you know, I'm fitting in more reviews. It's a bigger roundup of the 3 months, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of know what you mean. Like, we did used to have like a lot of photos, like a big spread of photos, blah blah blah. So it's like it is a change. But I was just shocked how much of like an attack I felt it as, and like I just wanted to quit. Like whenever I get criticism like that, I want to quit.
Yeah.
It's like my first reaction is just, I want to quit. He's right. Because there was an element of like, I don't feel confident with opera specifically. I do doubt that the magazine's any good, like all the time. And
Even as a non-opera person, it's great. I genuinely enjoy reading it.
anyway, it's a whole thing. But I was just so aware of how if I'd have had that like feedback on Choir and Organ, which is a magazine that I am more confident in, I don't think it would have bothered me. But it's almost like my own sense of self-doubt. And it just reminded me of like when people after concerts wouldn't give me enough praise, or like someone will criticize me. Like, I think the less confident you are in something, the more your brain blows out of proportion.
I think a lot of self-confidence is where you perceive yourself to be in terms of the power structure.
Yeah.
And
how much power you're giving them.
yeah, so for instance, in opera, I don't think you feel that you have always the most like infallible authority. And so when somebody else comes in and says, you should be doing this, I think it's very easy to kind of be like, oh, okay, like you up here have
You
more
must know
power
more than me. Yeah.
Whereas in like I just imagine like a little kind of worried little child being like, was that good enough? Was that good enough? And then you kind of grow up and you're like, no, I'm fine. Like I'm an adult now. I can value myself or have a better perception of how things are. But if you don't actually believe that you are in a position of authority and power, then it's very easy for somebody to kind of topple you with just one comment that gives you an insight into maybe how unstable your sense of foundation was in that area.
But then if we relate that to music, it makes so much sense because no performing musician feels they have power, really.
I don't know if I agree. I think some people feel that they have power.
I mean younger
Or I see.
musicians, sorry. Like
Again,
students.
I guess there are some people I guess there are exceptions.
Yeah, totally.
But I would agree that
But the majority,
because you're
aren't
always
empowered.
looking to somebody else for the final say. And even when you think, I guess it depends on how you build your self-confidence. If you build it through a sense of delusion and ignoring your insecurities, then it's very easy for a piece of criticism to come in and find that crack in your kind of artificial armor. But if you've built it through a place of real like self-reflection and genuine self-belief, then I think it's harder.
Say that someone came up to you after like a show, or like say the music director of a show came up to you and was like, said something kind of passive, like, how much do you practice the harp? Like,
Oh, mate. I mean, I'm very insecure as a musician.
really?
I think almost any criticism,
Why?
even if it's just the kind of, oh, that note was a bit out of tune, or just something that's very neutral, just general.
Just like fact or
Yeah, just fact, just passing, like, oh, just do this. I think about it a lot because I think I still have elements of imposter syndrome, and the idea that I've gotten away with a lot of things that have like it's just been luck that's led me to places. And I don't know if I'll ever not feel that, or what would be the thing that would give me that validation, because I don't think it can come from external. Like, there's not one piece of praise that somebody could say to me that would fix
no,
everything.
because the
Doesn't
praise
work like that.
almost, but I don't know.
The praise has to resonate with something you genuinely believe within yourself, I think.
Do you reckon? Because I think I would take the praise. Like, I think the ups were so high, with the praise would feel so important.
Yeah.
But then the criticism would like crush me.
Yeah.
Felt like there was very little equilibrium.
What's it, confirmation bias? right?
Mm.
That if you already kind of believe negative things about yourself, you'll be very quick to hold on to those things. Whereas even if you do believe positive things about yourself, it's much harder to hold them as like the truth.
But how do musicians, say we aren't, like you and like me, that's why a lot of the reason why I don't play in public. How do we like get over that like huge like criticism, taking it incredibly personally, or will we never get over it? Is it just part and parcel?
Depends what you mean by getting over. I guess it's like anything that like,
I mean, I want to feel like playing the cello is something that I'm very secure doing.
but I wonder if that depends on the scenario. Like if it were for work, whether you can truly ever get there, because like the other side of the seesaw, like if like the outcome is so variable and like you can read into things so much. Whereas if you're just doing it for, if you're doing it as a hobby, as a passion, surely the thing that you're chasing is just enjoyment. So you can be like, did I enjoy that? Yes. Then what's...
I don't know if I agree, because this is a passion
Yeah.
that if I was being paid to do it,
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I'd feel
Different.
more. No, I would feel more pressure. I'm totally wrong.
I also wonder if there's something about, I would be interested to talk to people that have jobs in orchestras to see for them if...
Your beard.
Yeah, we'll get him on. If he feels, or if anybody like that feels that criticism hits as deeply as when you're freelancing, because of the precarity of, and the paranoia of, oh, does everybody think this? Will I never get booked again for this thing? Like, will this affect?
But when we were in music college, we weren't getting paid. I mean, you obviously sometimes, but
But I think the thing about music college is that you are being ranked, and that gives the illusion of, well, I need to keep scrabbling to the top because that's how it works. I need to be at the top.
But is there a way of like allowing all of that to happen and not being embedded in it?
No. Mate, I'm not there.
Shit. We need someone that's riding the waves and finding who, like, the thing about criticism as well is like often Brené Brown
Yeah.
says, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I'm not interested in your opinion.
Such a good point.
Like if you're not putting yourself on the line constantly, if you're not editing a magazine.
Yeah.
But I do care about the audience's feedback at the same time.
Because you're doing it for them.
That. Yeah. I don't know what I think. I feel like this has just been a ramble, but I think it's been an important ramble, potentially.
I think also criticism is a very broad term.
Yeah.
That actually there is criticism where people directly attack you because they want to make you feel bad.
Totally.
And there's also constructive criticism where people genuinely want you to do better. And there's also just like passing comments that like are just tweaks here and there because they are just trying to make the product, be it music or a magazine, whatever, they just want it to be better for their enjoyment.
But it also makes me incredibly aware of like when you write a piece of criticism, I know that things I've said might stick with someone. And that bothers me a lot.
But we can't not critique things.
But that's the thing, they're putting themselves on the line with that possibility. And if I were like, luckily, if I have to be harsh, I generally won't publish it or won't.
Yeah.
If I have to be like horrible, or like if it was genuinely shite, I won't mention that singer, or I won't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's helpful to like be a complete prat.
What would be helpful in those scenarios though, if you knew something was awful? If you were playing awfully and you didn't know, but everybody else did, what would be most helpful in that situation? I'm not sure anything. If your perception of what you were doing and what actually other people were receiving is that different, can one piece of criticism really bridge that gap?
I often wonder that. Like, if I, like, sometimes when I do criticize someone, I'm like, will this be the straw that breaks the camel's back? And
God, I hate to be a critic. I
yeah,
would really hate it.
it's a lot of people who don't want to review because they're scared about their, like, connections and their,
Yeah.
but there's a whole, I mean, it comes up in this Monsters book that we're going to talk about another time, but
Yeah.
the death of criticism and, like, the way criticism has changed, it's very, very interesting.
I'm so excited to read it.
Oh, it is very, there's a whole chapter on how women critics compare to male critics.
You've talked about this before.
Yeah, it was really validating. Yeah, we were gonna mention we're gonna shout out something we've experienced artistically or something.
Yeah, instead of doing a win of the week, because we've literally just recorded
Another one.
We were just going to do like a recommendation. Shall I go first? So I went to see the Aurora Orchestra last night do their show Carnival, and it was incredible. I mean, I'm biased because Stu was in it and is in it, I hope. But yeah, like, you should honestly go and see it if you can. I don't know if they're doing any more London ones, but they're going all over the place. And there was like, all the musicians were doing acting and movement and stage management, and it was so immersive and so impressive. And so, like, you know those projects that you go to where the musicians are multitasking and you feel worried for them. You're like, something's going to go wrong, someone's going to
It's
forget
very, like,
something.
self-conscious.
Yeah, you sit there just kind of a bit on edge, like, the whole time. This was not like that at all. You just felt totally at ease with their capabilities, and you just knew that everything was going to be fine. And it was brilliant. It was so good.
That is so nice.
So yeah, catch them where you can.
Yeah.
What about you?
Is it their big birthday, like 30 years or something? Or
Something, yeah.
25 years? I don't know.
No.
Go Aurora. I love Aurora. I don't know what to shout out.
Book,
Book.
event, place.
I was going to say, I really want to shout out a restaurant.
Do it.
So there's this hotel in Oxford Circus that, like, no one knows about. And I've been there now 3 times for brunch.
Okay.
And it's not that expensive. And no one is there. Every time I've been,
Wow.
no one's been there. And I'm like, why the fuck is...
Why are you in Oxford Circus for brunch?
But this is it.
Great.
Why? But if you go to Langham Place,
Yeah.
there's
Is
a
that
high
near
rise near the BBC.
Oh,
Right.
oh, yeah.
BBC.
Yeah. Oh, I know, yeah.
The Treehouse.
Yeah.
Have you been?
No, but you've talked about it in another context before.
Not on the podcast.
No,
Okay.
no.
Oh, yeah. The Treehouse Hotel. It's just so nice in there. It's beautiful. Like, they've got real plants everywhere. The most gorgeous, like, hangout spaces. And, like, you can just be there all day for coffee.
Wow. Is it laptop friendly?
Yeah, laptop friendly.
Even in the week?
Yeah, especially in the week.
Guess you near the BBC. There's going to be a lot of laptops coming out there.
But I just can't believe no one really seems to know about it. Because it's like, it's as high up as, like, I want to call it Slug and Lettuce, but it's not called that. Duck and Waffle.
Okay.
Have you been there?
No.
Okay.
But I know about it.
It's as high up as that, and it's like the most incredible views. And it's really not that expensive.
Great.
So anyway, I just wanted to shout that out because I've had some nice experiences there. Another one is...
Do you say it's called the Treehouse?
Treehouse Hotel.
Treehouse Hotel.
And another one is Farm Shop in Mayfair.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been?
No, it's just I'm amused by your Oxford Circus and Mayfair recommendations.
I know, but these are all like...
She's a journalist now, honey.
But it's the kind of thing of, like, if you want to feel a little bit fancy and you want to go somewhere alone but not look too weird. Because I worry about looking weird. Yeah, Farm Shop is this beautiful farm. It is a farm shop, but it's like...
Wow.
It's kind of upmarket, but it's not massively expensive.
Great.
And you can get a coffee, and they've got the most beautiful tables outside. And it's a really quiet road. So if you just want to sit somewhere and read in the sunshine, it's opposite a lovely church.
Hattie will be there.
It's called Farm Shop Mayfair. So those 2 places I'd...
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
That's okay.
Looking forward to our pod trip. Hashtag not sponsored.
This has been really nice.
So lovely.
Thanks for chit-chatting.
Oh God.
Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening. And yeah, see you again.
See you very soon.
Bye.